My wife joked I was her practice husband. I smiled, then served her a real divorce, leaving her practicing loneliness instead. I should have known something was off when my wife started caring about Sunday brunches. Mia never used to be a brunch person. 6 years ago, when we met at that commercial real estate conference in Denver, she'd roll her eyes at the whole mimosa and small plates crowd. Said it was performative BS. Now here we were, every Sunday at the Cascade Room, her holding court with her circle of luxury travel consultants and trophy wives. "Oh my God, did you hear about Brit's engagement?" Mia was saying, her manicured fingers wrapped around her third Bellini. "Poor thing. She's treating Marcus like he's the real deal, but we all know what he is." Her friend Yasmin leaned in. "What do you mean?" Mia laughed. That practice laugh she'd perfected somewhere between years 3 and 4 of our marriage. "He's her practice husband. You know, the one you figure things out with before you meet the one who actually matters." The table erupted in knowing giggles. I was sitting right there, supposedly absorbed in my phone, checking property listings. But I heard every word. Felt every word. "Like Oberon here," she added, patting my shoulder without looking at me. "My practice husband." The words hung in the air for maybe 2 seconds before she moved on to discussing someone's Mykonos trip. But those 2 seconds stretched in my mind like pulled taffy. Practice husband. She'd said it so casually, like commenting on the weather. I smiled. Took a sip of my black coffee. Filed it away. That was 3 weeks ago. Since then, I'd been watching. Not in some creepy way, just paying attention to things I'd been ignoring. Like how her phone was always face down now. Started about 2 months back. She used to leave it anywhere, screen up, notifications pinging. Now it was glued to her palm or hidden like state secrets. Like the late client dinners. Mia's a luxury travel consultant, she plans elaborate trips for tech executives and hedge fund guys. Sure, dinner meetings happen. But 3 times a week? Until midnight? With clients who mysteriously never needed trips planned? Like her new gym routine. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate the effort. But she went from yoga twice a week to CrossFit at 5 a.m. plus evening Pilates plus weekend hiking. Bought a whole new wardrobe of Lululemon and Alo. Started wearing perfume to work out. Who the F word wears Tom Ford to sweat? Then there was the cologne incident. Last Tuesday, I was grabbing her Range Rover keys to move it for street cleaning. Her Hermes bag was in the passenger seat, partially open. A men's cologne sample fell out, Creed Aventus. That's a $400 bottle cologne. Not exactly something you randomly carry around. "Oh, that's for a client gift bag," she said when I asked. "You know how particular my clients are." "Right. A sample. In her personal bag. That smelled like it had been sprayed recently." My grandfather used to tell me something when I was learning to negotiate real estate deals. "Boy, when someone shows you who they are, don't argue. Take notes. Plan accordingly." So I started taking notes. The marriage had been sliding for a while if I'm honest. We'd become roommates who shared a mortgage on a $2 million condo. Business partners in the business of looking successful. She needed my stability and connections for her image. I needed. What? I used to think I needed her ambition, her energy, her way of making every room pivot toward her. But practice husband. Those 2 words clarified everything. That evening, after she left for another client emergency, I decided to reorganize the garage. Winter was coming, needed to swap the tires on my Audi. That's when I found it, tucked behind a box of Christmas decorations she'd insisted we buy but never used. An iPhone. Latest model. Charging cable attached to our spare outlet. It wasn't mine. It wasn't hers, at least not the one she carried everywhere. I stood there in our garage, holding this phone, feeling my pulse steady and slow. Not racing. Not angry. Just clear. I turned it on. Face ID required. Of course. I set the phone back where I found it, taking a photo of its exact position first. Then I went inside and poured myself 2 fingers of Macallan 18. Sat in my home office. Thought. The smart play wasn't confrontation. Confrontation gets you tears, denials, maybe a half-truth wrapped in just enough admission to seem like honesty. The smart play was information. I had a client, Eddie Zhao, who'd used a pie during his divorce 3 years back. Commercial real estate's a small world, everyone knows everyone's business eventually. Eddie got everything, the house in Bellevue, the ski place in Whistler, even kept his stake in the development firm. All because he had receipts. "Oberon, my man," Eddie said when I called him the next morning. What's going on? You sound different. Need that Pi's number. The one you used. Silence. Then, S word. Sorry, brother. Her name? Mia. I'll text you the contact. Hey, don't do anything stupid. Document everything first. The Pi's name was Castellano. Former state police detective, ran a small firm out of an office building I'd actually brokered the sale on 2 years prior. Funny how things circle back. I need facts, I told him at our meeting. Not drama. Not assumptions. Facts. Timeline? Fast as you can manage. Money's not the issue. He nodded. Give me a week for preliminary. Based on what you've told me, she's not exactly covering her tracks well. He was wrong. 3 days later, he called. You free? Better to show you in person. His office smelled like burnt coffee and leather chairs. He slid a folder across his desk. I opened it. Ronan Kilpatrick. 35. Boutique hotel developer. 3 properties in the Pacific Northwest, expanding to California. Married to Testimonial Kilpatrick, goes by Tess, a federal prosecutor with the Western District. They've been meeting for 4 months, Castellano said. Started as client relationship. She pitched him travel packages for his hotels. Legitimate at first. He flipped to the next section. Receipts. The Meridian Hotel. Lunch reservations, always table 47, the corner booth with privacy screens. Twice weekly, Tuesdays and Thursdays, like clockwork. Here's where it gets interesting. Another flip. Flight manifests. That Paris trip she took 6 weeks ago? Solo scouting trip for clients, right? That's what she said. He slid over another paper. Ronan Kilpatrick. Seat 3B. Your wife was 3A. My chest felt hollow. Not painful. Just empty. Like finding out a house you'd bought had no foundation. There's more. Castellano pulled out his laptop. These are from the hotel. Security footage. Mia and Ronan at Le Maurice. Champagne at the bar. His hand on her lower back. The way she looked at him, I'd never seen her look at me like that. Not even in the beginning. I've got texts too, but I need your permission to go deeper. They're using WhatsApp, encrypted, but there are ways. Do it. A week later, Castellano had everything. The texts were worse than the photos. Can't wait for Tuesday. Told T I have a planning meeting. God, these weekends are torture. G is so F-word clueless, just talks about cap rates and market projections. How much longer are you going to play house? Until I figure out my exit. Can't leave empty-handed. 6 years of this S-word, I've earned my payout. You've earned more than that. Kissing face emoji, Tuesday can't come fast enough. There it was. Play house. Exit strategy. Payout. I was a financial plan with a pulse. But then Castellano showed me something else. Screenshots from 2 years ago. Different number, different man. Her former boss at the travel firm. Same pattern. Same hotels. Same lies. There's one more thing, Castellano said. You mentioned a prenup? She insisted we didn't need one. Said it was unromantic. He pulled out a legal document. You signed this at your wedding, right? The marriage certificate filing? Yeah, standard stuff. Read section 7, subsection 3. I read it. Then read it again. Automatic fraud clause, Castellano explained. State of Washington includes it in all marriage certificates filed after 2018. Infidelity with documented financial deception voids claim to marital assets. She never read this? Who reads the fine print on their wedding day? I sat back. Stared at the evidence. 4 months of lies laid out like a spreadsheet. What's your next move? Castellano asked. I already knew. But first, I needed to protect what was mine. The thing about moving money is you have to be surgical. Too fast, she notices. Too slow, you're exposed when things detonate. I started with the obvious stuff. Our joint investment account had $400,000 sitting in index funds. I liquidated half, claiming I found a commercial property opportunity that needed quick capital. Mia barely looked up from her phone when I mentioned it. Whatever you think is best, babe. Babe. She'd started calling me that recently. New vocabulary to go with the new gym routine. Next came the business restructuring. My commercial real estate firm had always been solely mine, but we'd mingled profits into joint accounts for years. Time to unmingle. Set up new accounts at 3 different banks. Rerouted my commission checks. Created an LLC in Delaware for asset protection. My attorney, Gerald Yamamoto, was an old client who'd become a friend. I'd found him his office space downtown. He specialized in high net worth divorces. "You're sure about this?" he asked, reviewing Castellano's files. "Dead sure. The fraud clause is bulletproof with this evidence. But she'll fight dirty when cornered." "Let her." Gerald started drafting papers while I kept playing the devoted husband. Actually ramped it up. Brought her flowers. Suggested date nights she'd inevitably cancel. Each gesture documented, each rejection noted. Tuesday came. Her standing client dinner with Ronan. "Don't wait up," she said, kissing my cheek. "That Tom Ford perfume again. Might run late discussing their Cabo property. Take your time. I've got contracts to review." The moment her Range Rover left the garage, I went to work. I'd found her backup phone's passcode. She'd used her Pilates locker combination. She always recycled numbers. The texts were a goldmine of evidence, but one thread stopped me cold. Tess. Ronan's wife. T. Where were you last night? Another development meeting? R. Jesus, not now. T. I'm not stupid, Ronan. R. We'll talk when you're not being paranoid. T. Paranoid? You smell like someone else's perfume. So the prosecutor suspected. Interesting. I found Tess's work number. Federal prosecutors are public record. Sent her an email from a throwaway account, regarding your husband's Tuesday and Thursday meetings. Coffee might provide clarity. A fellow interested party. She responded in 12 minutes, tomorrow. 2 p.m. Victrola on 15th. I met her the next afternoon. Tess Kilpatrick looked exactly like her photos, sharp features, sharper suit, eyes that catalogued everything. "You're Oberon," she said. "Not a question." "How'd you know?" "I'm a prosecutor. I research. Your wife is sleeping with my husband." Direct. I appreciated that. 4 months, I said, sliding her a folder. "Here's proof." She flipped through it. Her face never changed, but her knuckles went white gripping the pages. I knew. Just couldn't prove it. She looked up. "What's your play?" "Divorce papers. Clean break. You?" "I'm thinking bigger. Ronan's trying to close a deal with Yamada Hospitality Group. $20 million in funding for his next hotel. Yamada's my client. I brokered their Seattle properties." She smiled. "Predatory. Want to have some fun?" "Define fun." "Your wife's charity gala is in 2 weeks. She's committee chair, right? Big society event? Black tie. 400 guests. Media coverage. Ronan's attending. Has a table for potential investors." She leaned forward. "What if certain information became public that night?" "I'm listening." "You serve your papers. Publicly. I'll handle Ronan. But here's the twist, I've been documenting his financial fraud. Using investor funds for personal expenses. Those Paris tickets? Charged to his development fund. That's federal." "That's exactly what it is." We spent an hour strategizing. Tess had the legal angle. I had the social destruction. Together, we had them cornered. That night, Mia came home at 1 a.m. Slipped into bed smelling like Crete Aventus and sex. I pretended to be asleep while she showered for 20 minutes. Washing off her evening. The gala invitation sat on her dresser. Gold embossed. An evening of authentic connections, it read. Her theme. Her big moment. "You're coming, right?" she asked the next morning. "I know these events aren't your thing, but I need you there." "Wouldn't miss it." She smiled. That practice smile. "Perfect. I have a speech prepared about partnership and trust. You'll love it. Partnership and trust." I smiled back. "Can't wait to hear it." My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. "Mr. Chen. Package delivered to your office. Special delivery is requested." The divorce papers had arrived. The Fairmont Grand Ballroom looked like Mia's Instagram feed came to life. Crystal chandeliers, white orchids on every table, subtle gold accents everywhere. 400 of the city's elite pretending to care about her charity while actually networking their next deals. I arrived separately. Told her I had a closing that might run late. Just don't miss my speech, she'd said that morning, adjusting her Cartier earrings. It's important. I'll be there. She was wearing the black Versace dress. $5,000, bought for this specific night. Her power dress, she called it. Hair in that sophisticated updo that took 3 hours at the salon. She looked perfect. Untouchable. I watched from the bar as she worked the room. Air kisses, practice laughs, that hand on forearm thing she did when she wanted someone's attention. Ronan was there, table 12, his wife notably absent. Tess had filed her papers that afternoon. He just didn't know yet. Oberon. Harrison Yamada found me first. My biggest client, head of Yamada Hospitality. Didn't expect to see you at one of these. Supporting the wife. She mentioned you might have a property for our expansion. We should talk. Not tonight, but soon. Things are about to shift in the market. He studied me. Harrison didn't run a hospitality empire by missing subtext. I look forward to it. 8:47 p.m. Mia took the stage. The room quieted. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here, for supporting our cause, but more importantly, for believing in authentic connections. I moved closer. Positioned myself where she could see me when the moment came. In a world of shallow transactions, we forget what real partnership means, she continued. Trust. Loyalty. The choice to show up for each other, especially when it's inconvenient. The irony was thick enough to choke on. My husband taught me that, she said, finding me in the crowd. Oberon, stand up. F word. Didn't see that coming. I stood, raised my glass. Smiled. 6 years of partnership. Of building something real together. That's what tonight is about, genuine connections that matter. The room applauded. I nodded, sat back down. Checked my phone. 8:52 p.m. My poker buddy Carlos was working the event, dressed as catering staff. We'd played cards every Thursday for 3 years. He owed me for covering his buy-in when he was short. Plus, he thought this was hilarious. When? His text read. Dessert service. Head table. Mia was wrapping up her speech, because at the end of the day, it's not about what we project to the world. It's about who we are when nobody's watching. More applause. Standing ovation from table 12. Ronan on his feet, clapping like she'd just solved world hunger. Dessert service began at 9:15. Chocolate soufflé with gold leaf. Mia's choice. Everything had to be perfect for her photos. Carlos approached with a serving tray. But instead of dessert, he carried a manila envelope. Mia Chen Morrison? She looked up, confused. Yes? You've been served. He placed the envelope in front of her. The head table went silent. Then the tables nearby. Then the whole room, like someone had destroyed the sound. She opened it. I watched her face change. Confusion. Recognition. Rage. Are you F-word kidding me? She hissed, loud enough for the microphone to catch. The society photographer's camera flashed. Then another. Then phones started appearing. She stood up, the envelope crumpling in her manicured fist. Found me in the crowd. You pathetic piece of S-word. Here? You do this here? I stood. Straightened my jacket. You said you wanted authentic connections. Thought I'd give you some authenticity. You think this is funny? You think you're clever? I think I'm done. The room was buzzing now. 400 witnesses to her perfect image cracking. We're leaving, she snarled. Now. No, you're leaving. I'm staying for dessert. Harrison wants to discuss a property. Her face went from red to white. Harrison? You told Harrison? Didn't have to. The photos from Paris spoke for themselves. What photos? But I was already walking back to the bar. Behind me, I heard Ronan's voice. Mia, what's happening? Then another voice. Female. Familiar. Hello, darling. Tess had arrived. The next morning came hard and fast. My phone started buzzing at 6 a.m. Mia calling from her phone, the burner phone, her mother's phone, unknown numbers. I let them all go to voicemail while I made coffee in my new apartment. I'd rented it a month ago under my LLC. 20th floor, view of the sound, walking distance from my office. The first voicemail was rage. You F-word coward. You destroyed everything. My reputation, my career, everything. You're going to pay for this. The second was bargaining. Oberon, please. We can work this out. Last night was. We both made mistakes. Call me back. The third was her mother. I don't know what my daughter did, but no man humiliates my family like this. You're going to regret. Delete. 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 By 8 a.m., the real consequences started hitting. Gerald called first. She tried to access the joint accounts. Everything's frozen as we discussed. And the assets? Protected. The fraud clause is airtight. She's got her personal checking and that's it. At 8:47, Mia discovered her company card was dead. I know because she texted me from her regular phone. My card was declined at Starbucks. In front of my team. I didn't respond. By noon, things escalated. Harrison Yamada called. Oberon, we need to discuss last night. I apologize if it affected your evening. Actually, I called to thank you. We've been considering Ronan's firm for our expansion. Your timing saved us $20 million and a federal investigation. Federal investigation? Testimonial Kilpatrick reached out this morning. Professional courtesy between prosecutor and major business. Ronan's been using investor funds for personal expenses. We're pulling our proposal immediately. So Tess had made her move. At 2 p.m., Mia's boss called me. Oberon, it's Walter Morrison from Luxury Escapes. I'm calling about Mia. She doesn't represent me in any negotiations. I'm calling because you're listed as her emergency contact. She's been placed on administrative leave pending an audit. Audit? Anonymous tip about expense irregularities. Billing personal trips as client development. You wouldn't know anything about that? I handle commercial real estate, not travel expenses. He paused. Right. Well, if she contacts you, tell her she needs to return her company laptop and files by end of business tomorrow. The social media explosion started around 3 p.m. Someone had posted the gala photos on Instagram. Mia's face mid-meltdown. The caption, when you preach about authentic connections but get served divorce papers at your own charity event, skull emoji. 47,000 likes in 3 hours. The comments were brutal. People love watching a perfect image shatter. By evening, Ronan had gone dark. Mia's texts to him were bouncing back as undelivered. He'd blocked her. At 7 p.m., she showed up at my office building. Security called up. There's a Mia Morrison here. Says it's urgent. She's not on my calendar. She says she's your wife. Ex-wife. Don't let her up. I watched the security feed on my phone. She argued for 10 minutes before storming out. Probably heading to the apartment. She'd find the locks changed, her belongings packed neatly in a storage unit. The key and address were in the divorce papers she'd crumpled up. Tess texted at 9 p.m. Ronan locked himself in his office when the FBI showed up. Financial fraud investigation officially opened. Thanks for the Yamada introduction. Thanks for the timing. That's not even the best part. Check your email. I opened my laptop. Tess had forwarded me something. It was a text exchange between Mia and someone named Damon. From 3 years ago. Before Ronan. Before her boss. Another affair I hadn't found. D. Your husband seems nice. S. He's useful. Good earner, zero backbone. The perfect starter marriage. D. Harsh. S. It's strategic. First marriage for money, second for love. I give it 2 more years max. 3 years ago. She'd been planning her exit before we'd even bought the condo. My phone rang. Mia again, but this time I answered. What? You've ruined me. Her voice was hoarse. My job, my reputation, Ronan, everything. You ruined yourself. I just documented it. I'll fight the divorce. I'll take everything. With what lawyer? Your accounts are frozen. Your cards are dead. You've got no income as of today. Silence. Then, you don't understand. This isn't over. Tomorrow at the Fairmont, there's someone you need to meet. Who? She laughed. That practice laugh, but crack now. My insurance policy. The line went dead. I showed up at the Fairmont at noon. Same ballroom where her world had imploded 3 weeks earlier. They were setting up for another event, removing the last traces of her perfect evening. Mia was sitting at the bar, nursing a water. Designer clothes replaced with department store basics. Her roots were showing, that perfect blonde was growing out dark. You came, she said. Curiosity. Your insurance policy? I sat 2 stools away. She laughed, bitter this time. There's no insurance policy. I needed you to see this. See what? What you've reduced me to. I studied her. The polished veneer was gone. For the first time in years, she looked real. You reduced yourself. I just stopped enabling it. You planned this for months. You planned your exit for 3 years. Damon ring any bells? Her face went white. How did you? Tess found those texts. You've been shopping for my replacement since year 3. She stared at her water. It wasn't supposed to end like this. How was it supposed to end? You riding off with Ronan? Living off my money while sleeping with someone else? I was going to leave cleanly. Take my share and go. Your share of what? The business I built? The properties I negotiated? The life I funded while you played make-believe? Before she could answer, someone else walked in. Tess Kilpatrick, looking every inch the federal prosecutor. Hello, Mia. Mia's hands started shaking. What is she doing here? Finishing things, Tess said, taking the stool between us. Ronan pled guilty yesterday. 5 years minimum for wire fraud. 5 years? Could have been 15, but he cooperated. Gave us names. Including yours. Mine? I didn't do anything illegal. Accepting gifts purchased with embezzled funds? That Paris trip was paid for with money meant for the Riverside development. Mia looked at me. You set me up. No, you set yourself up. I just made sure everyone saw it. Tess pulled out a document. You have 2 choices. Sign this agreement stating you are unaware of the fund's origins, or face potential charges as an accessory. What's the catch? No catch. Just sign away any claim to marital assets in your divorce. Full admission of the affair. Clean break. Mia read it. Her jaw clenched. This leaves me with nothing. You have your personal accounts, I said. Your car's paid off. That's more than nothing. My car? My F-word Honda? The Range Rover was a corporate lease. In my company's name. She looked between us. You two planned this whole thing. We planned for justice, Tess said. You two planned to destroy our lives for your convenience. Mia signed the papers. Her signature looked defeated. Tess stood. By the way, that line at the gala? About not practicing being a federal prosecutor? That wasn't meant for you. What? It was for the wire Ronan was wearing. He thought he was gathering evidence against Oberon for the divorce. Didn't realize he was confessing to federal crimes. She walked out, heels clicking on marble. Mia and I sat in silence. Was any of it real? She finally asked. I thought it was. That's the difference between us. I did love you. In the beginning. You loved the idea of me. The stability. The status. The safety net while you looked for something better. She stood to leave, then turned back. What now? Now you get to practice being single. For real this time. 6 months later, I ran into her at Pike Place Market. She was buying flowers, counting change from her wallet. The designer bags were gone. The pretense was gone. She saw me, started to approach, then stopped. Oberon. Mia. I got a job. Event planning for a nonprofit. Good for you. I mean it. It's good. Honest work. I nodded, started walking away. Wait, she called. I need to tell you something. I stopped but didn't turn around. You were right. I was practicing the wrong things. I kept walking. Behind me, I heard her add, quietly, the divorce papers called me by my maiden name. You knew I'd already checked out. She was right about that. The papers had said Mia Reeves, not Morrison or Chen Morrison. Because I'd been paying attention longer than she thought. Practice doesn't make perfect when you're practicing deception. But patience? Patience makes for perfect revenge. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.